How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Brad, the DC Universe Geek, and with New York Comic Con having came and went, usually around this time would be when I would make a video talking about all the various DC Comics reveals in the 6 and 7 inch scale for the most part, because that's what I collect, and that would be dominated largely by Mattel, because I've collected almost everything that Mattel has had to offer, whether it's almost everything from a certain series or whether it's just a few things from maybe separate smaller lines. But in general, I've always found myself really excited about the things that Mattel has had to offer, either at New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, or at Toy Fair. There's always been something for us adult collectors to sink our salivating collector teeth into. But this year there was noticeably a multiverse-sized void that nothing really came in to fill the vacuum. We know that McFarlane Toys and Spin Master both have separate DC licenses to do their own DC properties. Spin Master to handle the young children's kind of DC figures and stuff like that, of which we have absolutely no idea of what they're planning. And then McFarlane, we know that they plan to, in some way, shape, or form, pick up the Multiverse torch. The series likely won't be called Multiverse, and the figures will likely be completely different, but they will, in effect, fill the multiverse void that is now being left behind. And for years, Superman and Batman fans have had a line of figures in the 6-inch scale to collect, starting with the Batman line, and there were some excellent figures in that line, and then they moved up to the DC Superheroes, and then the DC Universe Classics, which morphed into the signature collection that you had to subscribe online to get, and then that morphed into the Red Box Multiverse, and then the Blue Box Multiverse, and now they're done. There's nothing else to show, nothing else to sell. Mattel won't have the license anymore as of 2020, so of course, there was nothing new to show us. Why would there be? But that's not to say that there wasn't some really excellent and exciting things for me and you fellow 6 and 7 inch DC Comics action figure collectors. For one, Mezco was there, obviously, in force, showing their DC products, of which you guys all know that I've collected pretty much everything that they've offered. I still don't have the Deathstroke. I likely won't be able to get the Black Mask unless I get him separately from Evil Bay, but in general, I've managed to collect most of their DC offerings. Super stoked for Hal Jordan and the comic book Wonder Woman, and also for the Aquaman and the Harley Quinn and the '89 Batman. Those are all Mezco 1/12 collectives that I'm absolutely going to be picking up, but there was also one final reveal, and that was a classic Wonder Woman. And she looks pretty good. I like the look of the suit. She's a bit girthy, a bit more girthier. Where it's just a little bit funny is her briefs down below, the bottom half of her uniform. The way that they've tucked the fabric around her body is ingenious. It does look just a little bit diaperish, but that's not going to stop me from picking her up. I'm going to pick her up regardless because, I mean, she still overall looks pretty fantastic. So if you're a classic Wonder Woman fan, this is going to be one you're probably not going to want to miss. Now, from the Storm Collectibles booth, they brought out their Lobo, their Bane, their Darkseid, and their Doomsday, which we all knew were coming from the Injustice 2 6-7 inch scale action figure line. However, the thing that I mentioned last time that I was really excited about, above all those others, is the fact that we got what I like to consider a good guy Supes coming in the future as well. And he looks really, really nice. Probably he's going to be the best Injustice Superman figure that we have ever received and likely ever will receive in that scale. And I'm absolutely going to be pre-ordering all of these. You should look for the reviews on the channel as they come out, because I can't imagine letting any of these slip through my fingers, because the sculpting, detail, and just the overall work that Storm Collectibles puts into their figures, their finished product, is always something to be impressed with. Now for DC Collectibles, you all know that I don't collect the statues, so for me that's not the kind of thing that I'm going to talk about in this video, and I really already did touch on pretty much everything that they would be putting out that someone like me would be interested in, even though I'm not really super interested in the stuff that they showed. For one, we have an animated kind of looking Batman Who Laughs. For those of you who collect all of the animated figures, and you've collected like Ra's al Ghul, the Joker, Harley Quinn, Commissioner Gordon, just all of the characters, and you're a completionist, of course you're more than likely going to want to pick up this Batman Who Laughs, because why wouldn't you? If I collected all the animated ones, of course I would too, and he looks good for what he is. I'm just not going to buy him. I don't collect them. And then of course we know that the DC Essentials also had a bunch of new offerings, only they're not really new. They're all literally just repaints, every single one of them. We saw the deceased figures, Superman, Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn, and the only new sculpted detail is the faces and the hands for these figures. All the rest is simply just repaints, the basic figures with blood stains and splatters added to their suits. And then we've also seen 3 more repaints for the DC Essentials, that being the New 52 Nightwing, which, yeah, I'll likely pick him up. I like his New 52 look, so they got me by the short and curlies of that one. And we've got a black and gray Rebirth Batman, which I also covered like the rest of the DC Essentials in my previous video, and I'll likely pick that one up too because I prefer that look for Rebirth Batman over the blue and gray and purple. And then we have the Regeneration Solar Suit Superman, only he's got a 5 o'clock shadow, which I guess is alright, although he really didn't look like that when he popped out in the comic books, and no mullet. I don't mind them using a repainted basic, pretty much naked buck to do the solar suit. No sculpted detail on the chest for the S. What they should have done is they should have sculpted a new head for it, because having the same basic short-haired Superman S curl on the wrong side head sculpt with a 4 o'clock shadow, for me just doesn't do it. For me, DC Essentials, DC Collectibles really didn't bring a lot to the table that I would be excited for myself. I'll likely pick up the DC Essentials to review them and then give the ones I don't want to my oldest boy because he's a figure collector too. Now, Mafex, a company who I think has just been killing it as far as DC Comics figures goes. They got off to a shaky start. Some of their figures, when they first started, were kind of wonky. They would get loose. Their proportions were kind of strange. But when you look at the more recent figures they've put out, the Aquaman movie figure, the Black Manta figure, the images look absolutely fantastic. The same thing with the Jim Lee Hush Batman and the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns Batman figure. They are going to be 2 probably of the best Batman figures ever made. And we look at the Justice League movies the Justice League movie figures that they put out, so the Batman, the Superman, the Flash, those are some of the best DC action figures that I own. And so it would have been really cool to see them bring out their DC product, the Shazam, and the 2 Batmans, the Hush and the Frank Miller Dark Knight, behind glass, so that we can see factory finished representations of these figures. But alas, they didn't bring them out, so I guess we really don't have anything to talk about. Next. And as for DC Comics related 6 and 7 inch action figure content, that's really it. There is nothing else for me to talk about because there was really nothing else shown that someone like me could sink my salivating collector teeth into, so I would know what to look forward to for the next year. New York Comic Con is usually a time where there's a lot more reveals. There have been some epic New York Comic Con DC Comics action figure reveals, and this time it was just abysmally small as far as the number of things revealed. Sure, there was some really good stuff shown. A lot of the stuff we've already seen, we already knew was coming out, and a lot of it has actually already been released because they put in previously released figures into their displays as well, just to beef them up and to build up the world that those figures inhabit. But in general, it was a very, very low number of things for us to get excited about, which kind of made me sad. What does that mean overall for DC action figure collectors of the 6 and 7 inch scale? Absolutely nothing, because we know that Spin Master, as mentioned before, and McFarlane both have lines of products that they're going to be revealing to the public. I don't imagine Spin Master will be revealing their stuff at a comic convention. It will likely be at Toy Fair. That's what I'm assuming. And then as well, McFarlane has a bunch of stuff that they still have yet to reveal, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic because they are killing it with like everything they do, especially those Fortnite figures. Have you seen them bananas? Anyone that can make banana action figures look cool and make me want to buy them is definitely going to make some really awesome DC figures. There have been leaked images, leaked with Air Bunnies, you know, showing the packaging, the figure selection, and the bases, the stands and stuff like that. But we don't even know how real and how true that is. It might all just be fakes. We don't know. We have to take that with a dump truck of salt. But have no fear, just because the New York Comic Con was so abysmal in the numbers of what was shown, new product, there will be, I'm betting, an absolute landslide of stuff from 2020 onwards, from Spin Master and also from McFarlane. They are both just chomping at the bit. They can't wait to get their DC Comics related stuff out because it's a no-brainer. They're guaranteed sales, and Spin Master knows it, and McFarlane knows it. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If you liked my face and liked the things that I had to say, you want to see more DC content, show up in your inbox, because that's pretty much all I do here, then hit the subscribe button today and you shall become a super friend and a member of the DC Squad. And if it tickles your fancy, then you can also ding the notification bell so that you get notified of when I put out new videos. Also, don't forget to like the video if you did, any comments down below, and I will see you with the next one. Have a DC day, super friends, and take care.